I don't like this blanket. It's not cute. Why do I make things difficult for myself? Just came at me. Okay. Why do I get nervous filming these videos? I don't know. Anyway, hi. Welcome back to my channel. We are talking about our June reads. Not our June reads, my June reads. But every time I film this video, or like my monthly reads, I look back into my notes of all the books, come pulling them out for the video, and I ended up reading 16 books this month. Here's the paperbacks. I did read quite a few on my Kindle actually, well on my phone. I won like a little Kindle spree. I had like a bunch in a row. I was like on a roll with it. But here are the paperback ones that we're gonna be talking about. I'm not showing you what they look like because I'm not giving any of it away. I was looking at my notes too of all of the books, and I literally don't even remember the beginning of June. I don't remember reading these books. My thoughts on them are all a mess up here. So if you've read these books, help me out. You know when you read one and you forget what you read and you can't really explain it? That's how I felt. This month just went so quick. Either way, we're gonna be talking about the books that I read, and I don't know why I'm nervous about it, but we're just gonna get right into it. Start us off, I don't have the first one in my hand with me, but I read the Winter in Paradise series by Ellen Hilderbrand. This is the second and the third I read this month. The first one I read at the end of May. I'm pretty sure these were all in a reading vlog of reading summer books for a week, something like that I recently did. But this was in it if you watched that. If not, let's talk about it. I've talked about Ellen before so many times. Her books are just like the epitome for me. Summer reads. I love bringing her to the beach, reading her on the beach. A good summer author. Basically, it's about a woman named Irene, but it's told in a bunch of different point of views. So you get all of the main characters in the book, all of their point of views throughout each book, which is one of the things that I love about her writing. I'm not a big third person, bunch of point of views type of book reader, but the way it's done, still get like their feelings and what's going on with it being third point of view. But basically, the main woman is Irene. She gets a call that her husband has died over the Virgin Islands in a helicopter crash. So her and her two sons end up going over there, staying a week, trying to figure out what happened, because one, why was he over there? No one knew. And then it ends up he had a whole house there, a whole other life there. And then you get the point of views from townspeople in, did I just say the Virgin Islands? Is that where it is? St. John. Wait, the Virgin Islands. I'm pretty sure it's over there. Anyway, the island of St. John is where he had a whole other life, house, and everything, and Irene is baffled, so are the two sons. They meet townspeople, but there's also little subplots of romance within it, so it's kind of more literary fiction, but then you get romances with people that are on St. John, Irene's family, and those people kind of connect, and you see how all their lives kind of like intertwine. There's a few plot twists, you figure out what happened to Russ, but what I love about Ellen's writing is it's so realistic, so like whatever happened in these three books, it's not so far-fetched where I feel like it could happen in real life. Like these characters feel real. There's not like the plot twist where it's like so far out of left field, like it makes sense and it's like realistic, which is my favorite part about her writing and her characters. I feel like real people. The second one, I said I like how calm her writing is. It's refreshing, and then all of a sudden there's like a plot twist. You don't see it coming. It's not a crazy plot twist, but like you just don't see it coming. In this one you get more about the husband. The first one is more like setting up St. John, all of the new people. This one you get more of what happened to her husband, and this one ends on a huge cliffhanger. And then on this one you get more into all the main characters' personal lives. Like it's not so much about Russ and stuff, but she also includes more point of views from more characters that you've met throughout the books, which I liked that. And then also at the end of this, I'm pretty sure there was a huge like hurricane or something like that that happened in like real life St. John, and Ellen, she writes from like experience and places she's been, so she's been traveling and visiting St. John for like over 10 years or something, and then a hurricane came, like real life, destroyed a bunch of things that were great about it, and she includes like a hurricane and something towards the end of the book which brought like awareness and like what could happen. And I don't know, I loved that. I love how she brought awareness to that. I loved how she included that in the end of this one. Not really giving much away, it's just what happens, but I enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure I gave them all 3 stars. I believe they weren't like life-changing or anything. They was really calm, easy reads with it being a mystery. Like it's not like a crazy mystery, but I loved it. Then I finished this book. So I wouldn't say I completely read this month. I think I read maybe 400 pages in. I was halfway through this book, so I read half of this book this month, but I included it as I read this. I started this in March. I like slowly went through it. I've talked about it before. I'm not like speeding through these books anymore. I'm just picking it up when I feel like it. So at this point, it's not like we're finding out new information really. It's just like, it feels like I'm watching like a reality show of these people. So it's like when I feel like it, I'll read it. Rose and Connor are my favorite. This is Feel the Fire. I didn't even say what it was, but it's Feel the Fire. It's Rose and Connor's point of view, Calloway's sister spinoff of the Addicted series. This was the last point of view. Well, the epilogue has everyone's point of view, but like the last of just Rose and Connor. I'm picking it up when I want to, but like also reading this, like I liked Kiss the Sky from their point of view better. This one I felt like it was dragged on. I feel like you didn't need this many pages. I mean, I'm happy that they put this many pages because I love them and I love reading about this family and everyone, but it was long for me and it took me so long to get through, so I gave it a 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5. Like I love them. There was nothing wrong with it. It was more me. It was me, not her. Still, amazing series. Love Rose and Connor. Connor is my Connor and Rose are my like life. I love them. Okay, we are getting into Kindle reads. So I read Swear on This Life by Renee and Carlino. I have been told to read this by so many people. People know I love second chance romance, childhood friends to lovers, those together. Like that's just my favorite trope, favorite book. So I get a lot of recommendations for books like that, and you'll see this month I read like a lot of that trope or those tropes. And this was one of them. Basically, present day, she stopped talking to her childhood best friend, but you don't know what happened. And usually what happens between this is you get the timelines of then and now. But with this one, her roommate is reading a really good book from this male author and is like, you need to read this. So she's like, okay, I'll read it. She ends up reading it, and it's literally her childhood with this guy. He wrote their childhood in a book. So she's reading this, and it goes between her present point of view, and then it also goes between her reading the book. So you get those chapters, and it basically tells you through the book what their childhood was like, how they met, their trauma with their parents. They came from very bad childhood lives. They grew up in like a very, very small town on a long road, just like literally on the farmlands and stuff, and they had horrible family lives. So that's how they connected. They grew up together young there, but you would think I loved that. And when it started, I was so intrigued. I was like, this man wrote a book on their childhood and he's gaining profits off of it. Like, he didn't ask her permission, they haven't spoken, so in a way he used that book to kind of get her back and kind of like, I don't know, but he wrote the book in her point of view as her as a child, not him. That's where it was kind of like interesting. What I liked is that it gave an interesting twist on the childhood friends lovers, the plot twist that goes on. You're wondering why they stopped talking because it's written through his book. I thought that was a very interesting way to do it. I was very intrigued, but then I wrote that it felt a little too lighthearted for what the past was about. If you've read it, their parents and their family life, their home life when they were younger was very bad, and I feel like it was kind of like not, I don't know what I said, lighthearted, but it wasn't. I don't know, the whole book I felt was just like surface level, like especially the present day when she finally confronts him or she finally sees him for the first time. It's like the way he feels about her, or is like it's said to feel about her. It's like they meet again and they see each other for the second chance, and you think it's like gonna be this huge thing, but he is just a cocky, I just hated his character. I didn't feel their connection present day. He just like, I don't know what it was. I also am having this thing with, why do main characters have significant others and then go off with their one true love or someone that they meet, their soulmate, but they have a significant other and they're not confronting that? It's an ick to me, and it's something that shouldn't really, it's just like so unnecessary. And I feel like she was so not thinking about her boyfriend. She treated him horribly, by the way, and she's over here spending time with Jace, I guess his name is, I totally forgot, spending time with him when she has a boyfriend who's having troubles of his own. That was a little not for me. The thing though is that I read it in one sitting, so that does say something. It had the readable quality to it. It was a quick read, but the only thing is it didn't have the emotional intensity that I think it could have had. Like, it literally could have been so good. I did like the ending, I did like the whole book thing going on, but I wanted so much more from this book. I don't know how to explain my thoughts on this one. It just felt very surface level. It felt very, I don't know, I didn't love the characters. It's just so much potential, but I give it a 3 out of 5. So, another Kindle read, Too Late by Colleen Hoover. This one was interesting. I don't even know where to begin. First, I read the description of this one. I've had it downloaded on my Kindle for so long because it's Kindle Unlimited, and it's written under C. Hoover instead of Colleen Hoover because it's more graphic, it's more intense, not written like her normal books are, and it's more of like an indie, I think she said once, written book, kind of like Harpoons, but like not Harpoons literally at all, but just in like that way it was published. And I just have never been more on edge with a book. Like, I had to put it down sometimes. I was intrigued to read like what was going on. Like, I was very eager to find out what was going on because it's Colleen, her writing, but I was so like anxious about what was gonna happen next that I had to turn my phone off. I was like, I literally can't find out. I don't want to know what's gonna happen. But basically it's about, okay, so you get 3 points of views, which is interesting. So you get Sloane and Asa. They are together. Sloane is in college. Asa, he is kind of like a drug dealer. He lives in a house with like a bunch of guys, a bunch of his friends, and Sloane lives with him. And then Carter comes in. He is the third character, and he, you find out, is there for a reason. You find out it's not that big of a secret, but he ends up trying to protect Sloane, and him and Sloane kind of get this thing going. But what you don't really realize, or you find out eventually, is that Asa is literally insane, but you don't like pick up on it. You just think that he's kind of like crazy and he's just like a bad guy. He's a grumpy, mean, a little bit crazy character. You don't realize like really what's going on with him until like the end, obviously, but he is so high intensity that like when Carter and Sloane would be like doing their thing, and like it's love triangles, so like that first, I don't love triangles, but that's what it was. And when Carter and Sloane were like talking and like whatever, Asa is terrifying. Like, you don't know what his next move is. You don't know if he's gonna come over and literally kill Carter. Like, it's just like, it was so intense. But then there's also so many graphic graphic details. Like I said, that's like, it's more of a graphic book, but like literally Ace's point of view of how he feels about Sloane, what he does to Sloane, is terrifying. For right off the bat, the first scene, like you get it, and it's just like, it was so much, and I've never been so anxious from a book before, and I don't know what it was. I think it was just the way Ace's character is, not a character for me. He was insane. I literally wrote in my notes like 4 or 5 times I've never been more on edge, nauseous, anxious over a book. But the thing is, it's Colleen, and she has a way of writing characters where it's like, kind of like It Ends With Us. I went into that blind as well as this one, and you don't know what's going on with like a character until you get to the end of the book, or until like you read what it is. It all clicks, you know, like by the end of it. One thing that was weird is the book kind of ended. At one point you got an epilogue, but then you got a prologue, and then it kept going, and I was like, it's like getting too much. When will it end? I'm literally gonna fall off my seat, but not from like being excited to know what's going on. I am terrified. Let me know if you guys felt the same way. I literally don't even know. I think I gave it a 3 out of 5. I wouldn't rate it again. I didn't like the characters, but it was so like high intensity that I was just like, I don't know what's gonna happen next, and it was kind of crazy read. But Asa kind of just like really scared me, genuinely. So next, I did read another Kindle read. This one is called Lotus. I got this recommended to me, another childhood friends and lovers, but this one is also interesting because it's not something happened between them, they split up, trying to figure it out again. It's not like that. This one's about Oliver and Sydney. When they were younger, Oliver was kidnapped and he was taken for, I think it was 20-ish years. He was gone for a while, and then Sydney is best friends. They lived next door to each other. They were like next door neighbors, best friends, childhood friends. Their families would hang out and stuff, and he was taken on the 4th of July. Sydney and Gabe still live next door to each other. They're best friends like to the present day, and then one day Gabe comes back and they're like, you know, I wish that they kept Oliver. Like, Oliver came back into the story like right off the bat. It wasn't a lot of what Sydney's going through and like thinking about like too much. I wish they kind of didn't bring him back into the picture so soon. I wish there was more of like what happened and stuff. I mean, you get to it, but like it was so soon into reading it that like all of that happens. Like he comes back, he's found, whatever. And I also said I wish we got more of their childhood together. You get like some points, but like not enough where like you could like feel it, and it's not like my favorite. Like I wish there was more of their childhood. You get like a few scenes of them when they were children, and obviously like the main big scene of what happens, but I feel like getting more of what they did when they were younger and spending time together and stuff like that would give it more emotional connection with it and with the characters, and then when they were younger, so you could feel how much of like soulmates they are when they're older. And then I wrote that the whole book when he comes back is so mellow. It felt like when they were back together again, it was like, it wasn't as intense. Like he was literally gone for 20 years. He was kidnapped and he was gone. Like I felt like he came back after 20 years and they were just like trying to figure out like a relationship between them. Like they felt a connection between them, but it was like he's been gone wherever he was for so long. We're not going to teach him how to live life before we try to date him. You know, the last 30% is a plot twist, an interesting turn of events. The ending kind of made it for me. Like there's a part in the ending, like the plot twist or whatever, that I loved. I loved it so much. He was a pure soul. I just felt a little iffy because he's like hasn't known anything. He hasn't known life for so long, and they're like dating. I don't know, it's kind of iffy for me, but the ending was so good. So I gave it, I think, a 3.5 out of 5. Did I rate it a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads? I don't really know, but like going back, like thinking about it right now, I would give it a 3.5 out of 5. It was definitely good, but again, it felt like kind of surface level until the end. It wasn't bad though. It was definitely interesting because it's not like the normal second chance childhood friends. Okay, let's talk about it. Shall we talk about it? The Summer I Turned Pretty. Obviously the show came out. I tried reading all of these before it came out, but I think I finished the first 2 before. I know the first episode or the first season is just about the first book, but I was like, I'm gonna finish the whole series before I start the show, and I'm glad I did, because in the show they give like the infinity necklace and stuff that's not until the 3rd book. So I'm like, I'm happy that I caught on to these little things, and I wanted to do that before I watched it. But we're gonna talk about the books first, and I'll give like a little bit of how I felt about the show while we're here. Okay, I like how this one, if you have to know what this is about. This is childhood friends and lovers, but like love triangle between Belly, the girl, Isabel, and 2 brothers, Jeremiah and Conrad. Belly has a brother, Steven. The 4 of them grew up together in Cousins Beach. Every summer they would spend summers together. Belly's had a thing for Conrad since she was younger, and then she comes back this summer and she's fully grown, and then Jeremiah takes a liking to her. So it's like, you only like her because she's pretty. Like, I see what you're doing. But she's always had a thing for Conrad. So that's the brother she typically would choose and typically would want to be with. That's kind of the essence of it. But the first one, I liked how they gave you glimpses to their younger selves, their summers, and you kind of got like a different timeline, how they grew up together and stuff. It was kind of confusing because it didn't really say when it was switching back and forth. So I was like, where are we right now? But I liked that it did that. I also don't love young adult too much, but this was really refreshing. I loved the young adult of this. Like, it just felt easy breezy read. I wasn't expecting much from it, so there weren't many expectations to live up to. Honestly, I wasn't expecting to love it, so I was genuinely surprised when I thoroughly enjoyed it. It felt like a comfort read, the way it was just so easily read, easily grasped. It was very refreshing, like I said, but it felt like nothing was really happening. It was just like the summer with her and the brothers, their families and stuff. Like, there wasn't really like so much going on, but you kind of get get the glimpse of how she feels about Conrad and how she feels about Jeremiah and her boyfriend Cam of the summer. There's gonna be a little bit of a spoiler when we get to these two. So if you haven't read these two and you don't want a spoiler, probably don't want to watch these two. Okay, this one, I'm gonna be completely honest, don't think there needs to be a second book. I think you could have put all of these together in 2 books or done something else with the second one, because this is so, to me, unnecessary. I feel like nothing happened in this book. I feel like you didn't need this book at all. This one you get different point of views, which I liked. It's not like the whole time, but like sometimes you'll get a different point of view with like Jeremiah or something, or whatever it is. So I did enjoy that, but I feel like she put that in so you could see how Jeremiah felt about her, where it's like if it was just Belly's point of view, you wouldn't even expect Jeremiah to feel that way. I don't know if that makes sense. But I also, I'm gonna say, other than the show I liked Belly. In these books I hated her. She was pick me. She was so mean to Taylor. I was not the best friend, but Belly was horrible to her. She was so mean for no reason. She was so pick me. She wouldn't care about anyone but herself. So selfish. But in the show, she's not like that. But I hated her in the books. Here's what I thought about them by the end of this one. So Conrad's annoying because he doesn't know how to communicate. But I said that Belly doesn't deserve him in this book. Belly doesn't deserve Conrad, but doesn't mean she should be with Jeremiah. Jeremiah doesn't deserve her. Like I said, Conrad doesn't communicate, so it's like she doesn't deserve how much she's giving to him and confessing to him and talking to him about, and he's giving nothing. Doesn't deserve that in this book. And then Jeremiah literally only likes her because she got pretty this year. Whatever. She doesn't deserve that. I don't think that she should be with him out of pity of wanting to be with one of the Fisher brothers. That's how I felt at the end of this one. And then he gets the last one. We're gonna have spoilers for this one, so if you haven't read this one, just like skip to here and we'll be good. Okay, Jeremiah and Belly dating. It's fine. I'm over it. I knew it was gonna happen. But may I ask how she found out he cheated on her? Not even just like hooking up with someone else, but literally sleeping with someone else and then letting him gaslight her into marrying him. You're so young. They were so young. I just don't, that part literally baffled me. I was like, is this really happening right now? So that's that. And I don't like how they switched up Jeremiah's character. Like, I could handle him in these two. He's a best friend to Belly. Why did we make him so mean? Where did his douchebag frat boy come into play? I don't understand, and I hated it. I hated him in this book. He just completely flipped a switch. But she wants to marry him. But she's still spending time with Conrad and has feelings for Conrad, so I'm just like so confused. Okay, so at the end, I think it's the day of the wedding or something. Susanna left notes for everyone. Susanna is Conrad and Jeremiah's mom. Left notes for everyone, and she left one for their wedding day or whatever. It says open on the day of your wedding, whatever. Jeremiah's opening it, and then he goes, I think this is for you, and gives it to Conrad. Everyone's fighting because Belly, Conrad, whatever. They're fighting because Belly loves Conrad. The note says, Dear Conrad, not Dear Jeremiah. That part got me. And I was like, yes, Susanna. But anyway, the series was good. We can talk about the show real quick. They did include stuff in the books that was really cute. I was expecting it to be like really cheesy, really not for me, and just like cringy, which many parts were. The casting was phenomenal. I loved every single casting, character, whatever, actor, actress, especially the moms. They were done so phenomenally. Is that a word? They were done amazing. Oh, they were casted amazing. I don't know how to speak. The books, I didn't love Belly because it was literally just majority Belly's point of view, what's going on with her. In the show, you got like Steven's love life, and you get Susanna and Laurel going out and partying and just like being the best of friends. You get the husbands and everything like that. I feel like the show captured the summer and the families so incredibly well. I absolutely loved the show, the soundtrack, the characters, the acting. The last episode, I watched, I think the last 3 episodes, I think 3 times now, and the last one I've cried every single time. It's just done so well, and I'm so thoroughly surprised with it, and I'm just so happy that it, like, the adaptation was just done so well, and I'm excited for the next 2 seasons. Hopefully the next 2. I know they're already doing season 2, but I don't know if there'll be a 3, but I'm hoping. That's how I feel about that. Okay, then I read on my Kindle The Infinity Between Us by N.S. Perkins. I absolutely loved this book. Second chance romance, childhood friends to lovers, and it's the same way written. Like, normally you get the then, you get the now, you get them growing up together, but this book gave every summer after, the summer I turned pretty, love and other words, and they did it successfully. She ends up having to clean out her house because something happened, and she's finally going back. Something happened between the families, which is what I liked, not between the 2 of them. You figure out, like, they didn't do anything that broke them up and pulled them apart. It was the families. Violet goes to clean out the house, ends up Will is there, and they're there for 2 different reasons. She wants to clean it out and sell it. He wants to stay there and not sell the house, but bad memories are there. They haven't spoken in years too, so she's like starstruck seeing him for the first time in so long, and he says, stay the summer here with me, and then by the end of the summer, if you still want to sell the house, you can. So you get the summer of them like present day, spending the summer together, kind of like not speaking much tension, but then like rekindling a little bit present time. But then you also get the then, what happens then, all up until the end. I don't know what it is, but I feel like books like this I can't give 5 stars just because of how much I love Love and Other Words. This is like literally 4 out of 5. It was so good. The middle got like a little bit, not boring, but like it took a little for me to like push through, but the relationship, the chemistry, the then and now, the characters, the setting was so perfect, and the end I kind of guessed what happened a little bit. it. Like I kind of figured it out, but then there's a whole other side to it and I was just like shook. And it wasn't like you find out what happened between the two of them and like that's the end of the book. They're kind of like figuring themselves out now. No, it's like there's still more that happened. So I was like on my toes the whole time. I absolutely loved it. If you need a good second chance, Love in Other Words, Every Summer After, Summer Term Pretty vibe, like all together, like this is the book for you. Oh my god, it was so good. I don't really have much to say. Let's see what I wrote in my notes, but I loved it. And there's a part you get the scene of like what happened and stuff, and it changes point of views. Instead of she saying like I don't know where I am, like I don't know what's going on, like whatever, it says like you don't know where you are, you fall on the ground. Like it's like she's having this like out of body experience, and I loved that. It's just like you felt that, and it was so good. I loved it. Then I read The Confidence of Wildflowers. I didn't read the second one right after, but we'll talk about both of them together. This is Resurrection of Wildflowers, and this is Confidence. So basically The Confidence, it's a duet. The first one, Salem, she is 18, and then she gets a new neighbor next door, Thayer, and he is very grumpy. He is 32, she is 18. She has a significant other, so she has a boyfriend, but she grew up in an abusive household. Her father was abusive, so she has a rough upbringing in that way. She lives with her mother and her sister. So then she meets Thayer next door. He has a son with his ex-wife, and she ends up babysitting for him next door. So they start like hanging out and whatever. He's kind of like a little protective over her, not like a weird way protective, just like she's like 18 running at like 5 o'clock in the morning, so he's like, please watch where you're going and whatever. So people will probably find it a weird way. It's big age gap. If you don't like that, you'll hate this book. I didn't love it at first, I'm gonna be honest. I thought it was a little weird, but then I like could feel the connection and I like kind of got it. So it wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Not my favorite like age gap trope storyline, and it kind of felt like nothing was really going on a lot in this book as well. Like I don't know what it was. It was just like nothing really happening, and then you get to the end and it's like I did not expect this. It's literally heartbreaking, the end of this book, and it's just the last thing you expect. I'm like, is this really happening right now? Or is it a joke? It wasn't a joke. Ends up on a huge cliffhanger as well. So then you get into this one, and this one takes place, I think, 8 years in the future. So she's like 25-ish, I believe, and he's 38. So maybe it's 6 years in the future. Something like that. They're older. She moved away. They haven't spoken after what happened at the end of that book. So this is kind of like a second chance romance. And they ended up seeing each other again because she has to come back to her hometown because of whatever reason it is. I'm not going to say. It's like second chance, like first love at first sight again, like that soulmate connection. That's how they feel. This one also is dual point of view. The first one's not, so you get both of them, which I like. And I feel like it's important in an age gap, seeing the older age demands point of view, like so it's not like a creepy vibe. I don't know, I think it's important. I said it was kind of underwhelming, and I don't think it needed to be this long. Honestly, didn't even think it needed to be a whole book in itself. I think you could have somehow put them together and lessened the amount of empty space in these books. It felt like I was reading like nothing at some points. It was just like, why is this scene happening? There's a lot of grieving in this book, and a lot of kind of how people grieve, and Salem had something to grieve over, and I feel like she didn't get a lot of time to, and Thayer's like, I don't know, he's kind of like suffocating a little bit in my opinion. I feel like he wasn't letting her do what she wanted, even though that was my opinion. She literally clearly, Salem did not care. It was a good book. It just like not that great. I think I give them both 3 out of 5s, but if you like age gap and you like Grumpy Sunshine and you like second chance, like it's good. It's just like they're so long for no reason. I feel like, I don't know. In between those two, I read The Kind Worth Killing. I read this in my 24-hour reading vlog, and this is about a man and a woman. They met in an airport, and they get to talking. They end up sitting next to each other on the airplane, and he's like, I want to kill my wife, and she's like, I will help you if you really want to. They secretly meet up. You get his point of view, like present time, how he feels about his wife, what's going on with his wife, finds out she's like cheating on him, whatever. And then in her point of view, you get like her past relationships, how she was brought up with her parents, really weird upbringing. You get how she's had trauma in her past and how it kind of relates to what he's doing in his life, and you get them secretly meeting up to like plan things. And you would think that's like all the book is about, like them planning to kill his wife, and it's just not. Like it's so much more than that, and so much more goes on. It's like literally plot twist after plot twist. When you get to part 2 of this book, when you read like the first page, it's like, oh my god, not what I expected to happen. So it was definitely crazy. The ending was very underwhelming for me. I didn't love the ending. I just closed the book and I was like, you could have put another chapter in. You could have put a whole other 100 pages in to explain what's going on. So I feel like this could have like a second book in like the series. It could have a duology. I feel like this could be a duology is what I'm trying to say, of the way it ended off a cliffhanger kind of. If you liked The Silent Patient, the way The Silent Patient was written, I feel like this was written very similarly. They felt very similar writing styles. So it was a good thriller mystery. I wasn't expecting to read one this month or even over the summer at all, but it was very interesting. Definitely kept me on my toes. Okay, so I started Shatter Me. This is dystopian. It's about a woman named Juliet who has been all throughout her childhood just told she's a monster basically because her touch is like lethal. It could kill people, or it does kill people if she touches anyone. And when she was younger, something happened and she ended up killing a little boy because she was helping getting him up. Like it was very innocent, but she was like taken away, and she's been in like an asylum for like, I don't remember how many years it is, but she's 17 now. She's finally taken out and she wants to be used as kind of like a weapon. So that's this, but there's also like romance in it, so you get that mixed in with it, which thank god, because I love that. I can't just read like a dystopian fantasy like without that. So it's dystopian and fantasy because she's obviously obviously has some kind of power, but it's dystopian world where like the government took over, the world is like gone and just like horrible. I feel like I like dystopian a little bit better. Like it's easier for me to get into a dystopian type of world than a fantasy world because there's not a lot of like world building. It was easier for me to get into. It's very intriguing the way it's written, and like a lot of words are like kind of crossed out because that's just how her mind works, and like being in her head is really interesting. I read that, and then I also am reading the novellas in between, and it literally took me so long to find it because I was trying to find Destroy Me, which is the novella between each of the books, because Shatter Me, I think it's like a 6-book series, but then you get novellas or whatever, and Destroy Me is in between the first and the second, and then Fracture Me is in between the second and the third, but they're put into one book. So each 100 pages, but this is like both of them in one. So I read half of this, which is one of the novellas, but it's in Warner's point of view, which is one of the love interests, I guess you could say at this point. Not really, he's kind of crazy, but he's the son of the commander-in-chief of the whole sector thing. So he was the one that wanted to use her as a weapon, whatever. He's like in love with her. I don't really know, but it's in his point of view. I feel like it's very important. You don't have to read the novellas, but I personally think it's very important too, because you get how he feels and how he acts and stuff, and you kind of understand him better, and I feel like you need that. I didn't really rate this, but I did say it was nice to be in his head because it's such a short book. It's like nothing really. And I said seeing how he is, because from Juliet's point of view, he's completely created to be different than how I believe he is. He's nothing like his father. I can feel the empathy, and I'm interested to see how it goes. So I read that. But you also get, like, if you don't read the novellas, you just go into the second one, like you still get like what happened in that, just not in his point of view. You go back to Juliet's point of view. The last book of the month, I read More Than Words by Mia Sheridan. I needed a good contemporary romance thrown in here. So this is about, oh, this is also childhood friends to lovers, second chance romance. Jessie and Callan are the two characters. They met when she was young. They both came from troubled parents. They met in like, I think it's a boxcar. He was hanging out there like running away from his home. She was like running away from hers. She like liked to go outside, play pretend, find her prince, and she ends up going to the boxcar, seeing Callan. It's like, my prince. I came to save my prince instead of him saving her. It's really cute when they were younger. I loved the beginning of them like connecting, whatever. You don't get the timelines of then and now, you just get them present time, but the beginning you get how they met when they were younger was really sweet, really cute. They spend a few years together when they're younger, and then one year Callan just doesn't show up. So then you get the future. They haven't seen each other 10 years. She still has no idea where he's been, and he ends up becoming this really big composer, like a music composer. He's very famous for it. She lives in France. He ends up being in France, seeing each other for the first time, and he doesn't recognize her. So I'm like, how do you not recognize her? Because she's like had this idea of him being like her soulmate basically. But then fate brings them together again, and Jessie is working on, she is a translator, like a French translator, so she's translating this long history thing, and it kind of connects that history she's translating to like their relationship, which it kind of connects, which is kind of cool. I said I like that it's second chance, but you're not trying to figure out what happened. It's more of them reconnecting and trusting each other again, and just like hanging out and figuring out the relationship. Like, you know, he didn't show up, and like you figure out like why he didn't show up, whatever. It's not like that important. It's more them like hanging out and rekindling. So he's in France for 2 weeks. They spend 2 weeks together. That's kind of all the time that they have. So she like agrees to it. He kind of like pitches that idea. The one thing is Mia Sheridan, I love her writing, but every one I read Archer's Voice and Most of All You, it falls flat for a little in the middle. I just get so bored because so much happens in the beginning. You get so much storyline and then like finding each other already and their past. So it's like, where does it go now? You know? So I feel like that's what happens in a lot of her books for me. So this is childhood friends to strangers to lovers, but not really searching for the reason why they stopped talking. That's not like the huge point of the book, which I liked because that could get repetitive. I said it was sweet. I loved how it pulled together. I like how wholesome Mia's writing and stories are. So that's what I felt. The only thing is, I have found that Mia's writing, she always adds something religious in it. Like I found with Most of All You, I don't know why, but something about God was in this, and something about God was in Most of All You. I don't really remember Archer's Voice too much, but like Mia always puts in a little spin of religiousness in it, and I didn't really realize it until I'm reading this, and I'm like, why? Like the character was so keen on spreading how she felt about things. I don't know. It's just, I didn't really pick up on that until now. Anyway, that's the last book I read this month. I feel like I just talked for so long. This video's gotta be so long. I don't know why I had so many feelings on all these books, and I had a bunch of thoughts, and I don't even know if it made sense. You can talk about it in the comments. You could DM me. We could talk about any of these books more if you need more of my thoughts and opinions. You probably don't, because I've just spewed so much information and so many opinions at you guys, but I rated this, I think, 3 out of 5. I don't know if I said that. I rated this 3 out of 5. I don't know if I said that either. First Shatter Me was a 3 out of 5. I didn't rate this one. I think I told you all my other ratings. It's on my Goodreads if you want to know my ratings, if I didn't really say any. I'm all over the place today. I hope this made sense. I always film a video and I don't even like think when I'm speaking. I'm just literally just speaking. I don't know what I'm saying, and by the end of it, like thinking back to what I said, I don't even know what I said. So we'll see when I'm editing if it makes sense. I hope you guys enjoyed my rambling of these books. I read a good amount this month, and I feel like I just like sped through some books, but it was fun. Let me know if you've read any of these. All of your opinions, let me know about these books and my opinions, because that's the fun part. Again, I have no idea what I said, but we're gonna find out together. So that's all. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for caring about my opinions, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. All right, bye.